Yo, what up, though? Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk, fam.
Let's talk.
Oh, what's good? How you doing in this present moment? I
was about to just be jamming to that beat that just came on, right?
Oh, it was kind of good. Yeah, we actually got new intro music, I feel like, right? We got new intro music. I think it's new. Yeah, it's new. It's good. I like it. It's very well done.
It's like back in the day, my day, like when all that stuff was going on back in my day, like living single. It reminds me of when living, you don't know about all that. But okay.
I kind of do, but I'm not even going to say, like, I just started watching A Different World.
My.
Now, I like all the old school black shows, like, for real. Like I really do. But you got to realize I grew up apostolic. So, like, my mom was like, there's the world, there's the church, and, like, there is no in between. Now, of course, like, they were on, but, like, they just, yeah. So I've been making up for lost time. All that to say is, like, PG actually always makes fun of me about my inability to recall black movies and stuff. So ever since I got on staff here, I made it a part of my mission to watch every black show. Like,
you got a lot of watching.
In the 90s, like the 90s. I was born in 92, so y'all got to cut me a little bit slack.
I was graduating high school in 92, so let's keep talking. Okay.
Yeah, you did say that. You did tell me that the other day. So a lot has transpired since my birth and your graduation.
Absolutely.
Whatnot. So we're actually talking about letting go.
Letting go.
Learning to let go. Yeah. It's actually a very good topic. A very important one, especially for all of us who, and I'm even thinking about the pandemic. I was talking to friends about the pandemic. I was talking to my barber today about the pandemic. About like, what was it like to go through that moment during the pandemic for you? Like, what was life like? And I thought about it, like, for myself, like I feel like lately for many people, there is like before the pandemic, and then there's like life after pandemic, or church before pandemic, like church after pandemic, or, your habits pre-pandemic and like after pandemic. I just think it's very important for people to just always be thinking about like learning to let go of things, because I feel like we're always evolving. We're always changing. We're always learning. And we always need to learn. Or not. True.
Right, because if you are refraining from letting go of things, right, you can become in a stagnant state. Think about that, right? Because you are, I guess let's just get into the topic, to be honest, because you think about asking yourself reasons why don't you want to let go. I think an important thing to think about, too, sometimes people don't seem to think there's a problem with holding on to things. And we're not saying that it is. However, I think we both know that letting go is much harder, than holding on, right? It's easy to hold on to things, right? You think about people, maybe someone did something to you, you can hold on to that, right? Because you can keep bringing up the past, what they did, what they said, how they treated you. And that's easy to hold on to. But oftentimes it's hard to let that go for multiple reasons, right? And I think we'll talk about that on today, because we have a tendency to define ourselves by what we own, right? Our past sorrows, our past hurts, relationships, whether it was, especially if they were bad. A lot of people don't really talk a lot about their good relationships, or sometimes even some of our goals that may no longer be relevant for us, but for whatever reason, whether it was our parents said you're going to be a doctor and you've been holding on to that goal because you made a vow to your parents that that's what you were going to do. And is it still relevant, or is it a meaningless goal, right? So I think, from my perspective, it is much harder for us to let go than it is for us to hold on to it.
And I think that gets harder the older we get, too.
Ooh, you think so?
I think so. For some people, because, like, I feel like the older we get, the more we value stability, whether that's like place, people, context. So maybe if because to let go of a thing represents like it was here today and it's not here right now. It was here yesterday and it's not here today. And
I'll just speak for me, because I'm about to be, half of something, right? I'll be 50 this year. So
big bet.
As I age gracefully, thank you, Jesus, there are things that just do not matter to me like it used to anymore. So I think it depends on the individual. And I will definitely say the pandemic changed a lot for me, right? We realized, or we saw how life was extremely short during the pandemic, right? So there are things that used to really bother me or I used to hold on to. Now it's just like, it is what it is, right? Let me find a way to move forward. Just let this go. But that's just me. Now, I know you've heard a lot of people say as they age, whatever comes up, it comes out of their mouth, right? Or some of the stuff you just don't care about anymore. I am experiencing that as well. Yeah. So I think it depends on the individual, and it depends on what we're talking about letting go too. Right.
So what are these? Because you brought up some really good things that we need to learn at least to let go of. Can you mind naming them? Like, I thought they were very good. Or I can name them.
I put them in the chat.
Yeah. I can name them. Like, learning how to let go of things.
Stay right there. Let's not even move forward first. You're going to list them all first, then we're going to go back and talk about them?
I think so. I think that's good. I think that's good. Because our attention spans as human beings are short. So letting go of for real. Like, me and my editor was talking about this. Like, yo, like you asking a lot of a person to, when you writing super long, you asking a lot. So be mindful of the moment.
Right.
So letting go of things, learning to let go of goals, learning to let go of control, learning to let go of people, learning to let go of the past. So now we can start with things.
My goodness.
Yeah.
Things. Depending on how you grew up, right? And when you get to a point where maybe you can afford to purchase things that you were not afforded at a younger age, right? We tend to hold on to a lot of things. So for instance, right, I know you may have heard a long time ago where people started doing this thing called, what do you call it? Becoming minimalist. So,
100.
And that is, and I am one of those people.
Yeah, 100.
Right. So learning to declutter for the most part of it and having to let go of things was a thing, because I was I love shoes, right? Shoes and clothes and purses and stuff. So those were the things that I had to let go of last, because for whatever reason, I value those things for whatever reason. But I think that as we understand the importance of letting go, but you do have to ask yourself these questions. Why is this valuable to me? Because some things are sentimental for people.
Oh, facts, 100%. Right? And some things need to be held on to.
Some things need to be held on to. But holding on to a pair of jeans that I'm going to be hoping and wishing to get back into, let me let it go.
Yeah, that's
Let's
real.
just be clear. Let's just let this go. Or, I don't know. I think it's important for us to understand that, because even sometimes I can fall back into the mindset of being scarcity, right? Being wasteful. I don't want to let it go because I've spent so much money on it, or I don't want to come across as being wasteful. You think about oftentimes when we go out to dinner and we eat what's on our plate, try to finish it all, even if we're full. We'll keep trying to stuff ourselves because we don't want to be wasteful. Get a doggy bag, take it home, right? Let's just be clear. You don't have to really throw it away. But I think oftentimes we want to hold on to things. Some things are not sentimental. Some things are just because I couldn't afford it when I was a child. So now that I have it, I want to keep it. Or I keep getting these things. It's not serving me, but I'm just going to keep getting them. I'm going to keep holding on to it. So I don't know.
Yeah. I also, when you start talking about things, I don't just think about like material things.
Oh, yeah.
Like, my mind immediately goes to football and my playing days. When I think about like letting go of things, it was easily the hardest thing for me to let go of. And the reason being is because when you do a thing for so long and you do it well for so long, and you've developed such deep relationships and friendships, and even you've seen yourself grow from it, it's very hard to let go of a thing that's super valuable and meaningful and does something for you and to others that you would not have had without it.
Did you have aspirations of furthering?
Oh, 100%.
And
it's even good, like going to the goals things. Like, you know, letting go is possibly also redefinition. You know, redefining things. You know, or reevaluating my relationship to them. And I think with maturity has to always come reevaluation continually.
Absolutely.
So like in 2013, when I was at the height of my career at Clemson, a situation happened and I ended up folding mentally and emotionally. I ended up at Western Carolina, 5 games into the season, ended up quitting football. And I mean, you have to think that like, yo, I came from, you know, one of the poorest areas in South Carolina where, you know, many of us, in order for us to make it out, you know, football, school, work is a part of that. But sports is like, you know, number one for us. And for us to make it out, any of us to make it out of there to the level that, you know, me and others played at, you know, is a true miracle. And you work so hard to become something that your community will be proud of and that you will be proud of. And you almost like live it with a desperation because everything is so consequential in life. And you believe, and in some sense, in a very real way, you know, it's a make it or break it thing for you. And at the height of my career, I broke. It broke me. And it sent me into one of the most depressive seasons of my life, where after the breaking, after the quitting, after the failure, I had to find a way to get back to Clemson, to finish what I started, to finish my degree, and figure out a way to find another thing that will give me everything that I had and wanted in football that was so traumatically taken away. And I think a lot of people deal with that in a sense of like the thing that you don't want to let go of, but life makes you let go of.
Right. Because I'm hearing you, and when we think about it, whatever it is that we're holding on to, not wanting to let go, and maybe not even noticing we need to let it go too, it can be an invisible weight that we are carrying around, right? Because, like you're saying, you became depressed, right? And you realized you had to find a way to get out of whatever it is that was going on. And I think oftentimes we are not conscious of what we're holding on to and the why. It's important to ask the question, why? Because you can't move forward if you don't really know, why am I holding on to this? Why is this so valuable to me that I hold on to? And then, because what does the scripture tells us in Hebrews 11, right? Like to lay aside those weights that easily, and I think we don't understand oftentimes that the holding on is hindering more than it is sometimes helping us to. Right?
Oh, no. Oh, 100%. And I think, because I want to be careful about like blaming people for wanting to hold on. Like not saying we are, not saying we are. I just always have to, you know, we always have to just be mindful of the person who may be listening to this, who may be actually in a situation where I was at with football, where like, you know, you've done something for so long, and the writing is on the wall that the time is ticking, and that the longer you stay, the deeper you're digging yourself into a hole. And you got to figure out a way to climb yourself out of the hole, no matter.
And it's a process.
Yeah, 100%. It's a process. And I'm thinking about like I never want to blame the person that like, who was like me, that was like, dad, yo, like I want to stretch this thing to the furthest end it could possibly go.
But who did you have around you? Also, I think that's important too. Having the right group of people or the right people in our circle that can be honest with us and tell us, hey, have you considered? Do you think? Because that's important too.
It is, but a person like that ain't really thinking about like they're not really truly thinking about like time, right? They're not really truly thinking about like, you know, and even the way that like we approach a person like that. I think when you think about young people and like when things are so ultimate in our lives, like there is a way to be like a parent and then a way to be like a friend. So like the way that like young people hear the parent, if they say, well, it's time to let go of this, they hear it, they're processing that as like, oh, this is like an adult in my life or a parent in my life who just trying to tell me what to do and they not understanding this and that and this and that, you know. So I think it's like creating conditions in which like people can like really process and feel everything they need to feel as they're working on like reevaluating the thing.
I don't know, Stu.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just believe that even as a youngster, when I was that young, I'm still young. Because even with my children now, they have circle of people that are open and honest, even when they were teenagers or in college, to be open and honest to say, why, what, like, let's just have this conversation. I want to give our younger generation some credit for being, I heard just on yesterday, I was listening to, we know LSU just lost to Iowa, right?
Yeah, facts.
The girls. But I'm listening to, her last name Johnson.
Yeah,
I'm going to call her Flossie Mae. Flossie Mae Johnson, right? And she was sticking up for Angel. She was talking about, you know, you don't know what it is to be on a team with her. You don't know what she goes through, different things of this nature. So I'm listening to this, and in my sanctified imagination, I can see them young women having some real good, tough conversations, holding each other accountable in a loving way. So, I will go back to whether you are a young adult, you know, you are, you know, mid-age, you know, even my age, having the right people around us to be open and honest with us, to say, let's have this conversation about what's going on with you. Because sometimes I need people around me that's going to be honest. And I've always wanted people to say, let it go, right? Why are you doing this to yourself, right? Or how do you feel this is helping you or benefiting you? And just things, I've always wanted that. So I'm not saying everybody does, but I want to give our younger generation credit, especially today, because they are just, oh my goodness, right? They're teaching us some stuff. So
yeah, and that's it. And I think that's what I'm getting at, is that like the people who will be around you, who will ride it out with you however long you need them to be there.
Yeah.
You know, so when I think about like young athletes like Flu J and Angel, like even in that moment, which is actually a very beautiful moment, even in that moment, it's like wherever you find yourself, you know, because in some sense, I imagine that like Angel seeing like everybody dog her for just being Black and brilliant, beautiful, proud, athletic, just the amazing human being she is, confident 100%. Right, yeah. Like, it's going to be very hard to move on from that. And so I think in some sense, like the people who will ride it out with you, who won't say like, okay, like, yeah, because in some sense, she's getting them to understand. You got to understand where she at. Like, she's not necessarily even telling her, like, you know, disregard what they're saying. But, like, okay, let's ride it out with one another as long as we need to ride it out. Because I think because that's a very hard relationship to break, to ask somebody to let go, you know, of a thing or a goal or a person or a place. I just think it takes time, and the people. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I agree. So I'm not stating, so this is gonna have to be a part 2, because I'm not stating you've been riding it out with them, but at some point you're gonna need someone to just do a check with you and say, okay, hey, enough is enough. Let's really have this conversation, right? Because I want to be there to help you move forward. Because if not, you're just gonna stay in that whatever state that you're in. And at some point, someone has to tell us to let some stuff go. Or we have to be mature enough to say that we have to let this go, right? Because if not, hey, you're just going to stay there. So and it's not beneficial.
100, I agree, 1,000%. 1,000%. I'm interested in like, in a season where you had to let go, like what did it for you? In like getting you to the point where you were like, you know, I'm confident enough to let it go. I'm courageous enough to take the leap, to next step, to walk away, or to redefine, or to reevaluate. Like in a season, what did it for you?
We don't even think we have enough time to answer that question on today.
That's cool. We got like 3 minutes.
We got 3 minutes. It was the people that the people that I had around me, but then also knowing I've been in this state for too long. Mm-hmm. Right. And I realized like I keep going back in circles. You just keep bumping your head on the same door. Keep putting your hand in the fire, knowing it's going to burn you. So just really and truly being honest with myself and asking myself some tough questions. I think this is definitely a good conversation to continue on just letting go, because we just talked about letting go of things, right? Let's see. I'm interested in hearing us talk about letting go of goals, letting go of people. Mm-hmm. That's what you're talking, because mm-hmm. I have some examples of letting go of people. But I think it's progressive for sure. But then there are some tough questions you really and truly just got to ask yourself mm-hmm. before you can even talk to someone else about that. Being mm-hmm. truthful with yourself and asking these questions too, mm-hmm. to be honest with you. So,
mm-hmm. yeah, and I think it's also about like really believing that like that the next step can be a good step.
Absolutely.
You know, the next step can be a good step, and it's scary. I want to acknowledge how scary that is.
Absolutely.
People. Like it's very scary to be like, okay, well, I deserve better, or there's something else on the other side of this, or let me give myself another shot at this.
So I will say this. You know how people say, fake it until you make it?
Facts.
Faith. Put faith in it. Faith it until you make it. 100%. So you just keep saying to yourself, because especially as believers, you know, we come to church mm-hmm. a lot. Mm-hmm. And we hear the preaching, we hear the songs, we got these really great cliche scriptures, and scriptures mm-hmm. are great. I'm just saying, but people just say them. But do we really and truly put these scriptures in action, right? Do we possess Christ in our hearts, or do we just profess him out of our mouth, right? So I think it comes a time where do we trust and believe what God has said to us and what the scriptures are saying? Put them together. Faith it until you make it. Until you can see it happening. Just keep saying it until it actually comes into fruition. Because at some point now, we can't keep walking around saying faith is the evidence of things. Come, put it into prayer. What does he say? Faith without works is dead.
It's dead.
You got to put some faith on it too. But even for those that may not be believers and that are listening to this, somebody they know is a believer. Somebody. I can't wait to pick this up. We almost out of time. I can't wait to pick it up.
Finish it out though.
Somebody they know is a believer. Because everybody in my circle is not a believer. Trying to get them there, but everybody is not. So it's really and truly good to surround yourself with a diverse group of people that can help you to think differently than you would normally think. Helps you think outside of the box. So every now and again, I'm not trying to be safe. I'm just not. Sometimes I want to just go out here and be spontaneous and just do some things. So, hey, we'll talk about the next time.
Yeah.
How oftentimes Boatwright has to Calgon take me away. You may not even remember that commercial. Calgon take me away.
I don't even know what that is.
Pretty much what I do is get outside of my normal self and do something a little bit different that may be scary. So I can learn how to let go of some of this other stuff.
That's real. Because sometimes the scary thing is the best thing. Because we learn so much about ourselves and about God on the other side of trust and belief.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We're learning to let go.
Yeah, learning to let go.
Yo, thank y'all for showing up for this little snippet of a conversation. I feel like that went very quickly.
It went quick.
But it was good. Like, it was good. I think a lot of people need help in letting go.
Definitely a part 2 coming.
And we just want to be the place where people can wrestle and think and find grace and find help.
We'll have some scriptures for something next time. How about that?
We will. This was good. This was scripture.
It was good.
Yeah, it was scripture.
No, some people want to bank on it, so we'll give it to them.
Okay, all right, bet. Put our seminary degrees to work. All right, y'all.
Till the next time.
We love y'all. Take care. Be blessed.